Word, and today we have with us Trevor Worth from Portcullis Legals, and his word is finality.
Certainly is.
So, Trevor, me and you go way back to the start of my business career, but tell us a little bit about you.
Yes, we do go back quite a long way. Or I always say we because it's always us as a collective, but I actually started Portcullis back in January 1988, so
Wow.
way before you were born.
No, it wasn't.
No, wasn't it?
Only
No,
just,
only
but yeah.
just okay. And it was one of those things where I just felt I didn't really want to work for anyone. I just wanted to work with people. So whether that was clients or partners or whatever, and I just felt there was an opportunity in the market because that's always important, as you know. It's all right having a great idea, but is there a market for it?
Yeah.
And I just felt there was a gap because still to this day, although not as much as it was back then, lawyers are still looked upon as quite sort of grey people, aren't they? And full of jargon, a bit like accountancy sometimes,
Yep.
isn't it? And you've
Yep.
challenged that status quo. And I just thought if I could provide a friendly, approachable, plain English as much as possible sort of service, go and see people at home. I coined the phrase back then, "wheels on wheels," which should have
Nice.
trademarked, but and I just felt I wanted to work for myself and really use the negative side of it, which was people telling me it's not going to work, it won't happen, you won't get anywhere with it, and I think during my whole working life, I've used that as a bit of a prod to say, well, we'll see, won't we? And I'll show you. So it's way back, 1988, nearly 40 years now, which is
Wow.
incredible, and it's been a brilliant journey. There's been so many peaks and troughs as it is with any business, isn't it? But I've loved it because of the people I've met more than anything, and whether that's clients or people like yourself, partners that work alongside us, some institutions we've worked with. It's just been amazing, and there's been some real highlights, and there's been some lowlights as well. And I don't just mean from a business point of view, but from a personal point of view, dealing with people's situations that sadly they find themselves in. But yeah, it's been great, and I wouldn't change a thing. So that's good.
Good. And we are going to pick into some of those highlights because
Okay.
there's been some, yeah, standout ones, I think, for me watching your journey over the
Yeah.
last just 10 or so years. Um, so Portcullis, legals, wills, trusts, estates, all of that kind of later life plannings.
Yeah.
Um, why finality? I mean, it might sound obvious. I'd assumed you were family, but
Yeah. Which
finality,
I can understand that because
yeah,
we try and be, or certainly as an individual and people I work with, you try and put family at the front of everything, don't you? Especially in your own personal life as well. But finality for me wasn't just about all the sexy stuff we do around wills and trust, and
exciting
it's a hard
bits.
sell sometimes, but people know they need to do it. Finality for me was about that thing where I've seen an awful lot of people, particularly in their latter years, where they sometimes do have regrets and they look back and things they have done or haven't done. It tends to be the haven't done things that come to the fore, isn't it? And I just thought finality for me is about we know the journey, whatever that is for each of us as individuals, is going to end at some point. And I'm sorry, this is not too cheerful, this bit, but it's real, isn't it?
Hmm.
And the number of people I've spoken to who've just said, book that holiday, take that time off, invest in something, go and do something with your community, a sports team, charity, whatever it is. And I think we've all got good intentions to do that, but we don't, do we? So the finality bit for me is, look, this is going to end one day, whether that's your working career or sadly, your own demise, which we're all going to go for at some point. Uh, and I just think you should just grab that moment as best you can. And I know it's a cliche, and everybody says live in the moment and all those things, but most of us don't. And that's the sad thing. It's a bit like, when people talk about, are you a good listener? And most people, as you know, listen to respond rather than listen, don't they? And you see it on socials all the time now. People put all these memes up, and it's all well-meaning, and it's from the heart, and all these things, but they don't actually live it, and that's part of the problem. And I think for me, if finality is the word that I've picked today, I think this is going to come to an end. So do the best you can now, in whatever shape or form that is, and give time and give because that's what people want more than anything. I think time. We talk about, particularly in our jobs, assets. We talk
Hmm.
about their estate. We talk about how can they mitigate
Yeah,
tax. How
what have
can they?
they got?
Yeah, and it is important, but it's that thing about when you give people time, most time they remember that, and I think certainly over the last few decades, when people have come back to me at some point, they've talked about something we did for them that was nothing to do with the job. It was all about as a person, or we looked after them in a certain way, or we did something above and beyond. And I know you guys are big on that here, and I think it's really important, and it's what can mark you out as a little bit different, can it? So yeah, finality, not the most cheerful word you've ever had in here,
No.
because you've probably had fun, and I'll leave the rest of it. I won't
Yeah.
some of the others, but yeah, that's why today, we're here. Tomorrow's never promised, is it?
Mhm.
And we know that's a cliche, but it's very true. So just do what you can, and be the best you can. Whatever that means to each person.
I love that. And I think that's not only your philosophy as a person, but your business is seeing that in action. It's seeing every day people that are
Yeah.
thinking about the end, like you said, with a
Yes.
business, that their lives and what they need to do, want to do, should be doing. So you're actually witnessing
Yeah.
these sort of thoughts and this philosophy for other people.
Thank you. I
And
think we
what
are.
they
I
do.
think it's one of those things where we we deal with people from all walks of life, as you know, and all backgrounds and all scenarios. But uh, there are people who really stick with you in terms of things they've said, uh, or they've shown you something, and you've gone, "Oh my goodness, what? I didn't even realize that's how people feel." And if you can try and bring some of that into your life, really, as well as your business, then I think it's good for everyone, because you can share that.
Yeah.
And
It's other perspectives, isn't it? People that have different lived experiences
always,
and that are able to kind of share
yeah,
nuggets of wisdom. And that's how I kind of view if I come to you and say, Trevor, what would you do if this was you? Or
yeah,
how have you dealt with
appreciate
this?
that.
And I think it's, yeah, able to kind of share that knowledge.
Yeah, and
Is,
it's good, isn't it? It's one of
yeah.
the things I think about business that people underrate. It's the communication and the relationships you build, that you can pick the phone up to anyone, can't you? Or we all FaceTime now, don't we, or whatever. And that is just so helpful, because there's someone in your circle that you've built up over the years that will have some experience and some knowledge, won't they? And like you said, little nuggets, they're invaluable, aren't they?
They
And
are. And we've talked quite a lot on some of the F Word podcasts around the future, around AI, around tech, around how things are changing. And my, I guess, view on it is that while all of that is really important, the personal side of a business
yeah,
actually will become a strength for those businesses that are structured in that way.
yeah.
Your business is almost 4 times
Yes. Well,
larger than mine.
I,
Sorry.
yeah, no,
Bring
thank
that.
you.
A little older than mine. Been around for a
Yes,
little
just
while
say a
longer.
few years. Yeah.
Yeah, a few years. How have you seen that shift from through kind of digital revolution back then
Mm.
and now a second kind of digital revolution? What have you seen those changes?
I think, again, like yourself, very abreast of what's going on out there, technology-wise, and AI, and all these things. I've watched it from afar. We're more ingrained with it now. But I think for me, at this stage in my career now, I'm turning the personal side into more of a USP.
Yeah.
So that lots of our clients are of a certain demographic, and they still appreciate the personal touch, the face-to-face meetings, and all those things. And so that will carry on for my next 5-6 years, whatever that is. But everyone else, I think, of a sort of younger generation, needs to embrace the technology in a way they've never done before. And you see it creeping into lots of the professions, particularly, don't you? Because there's lots of things I think you can commoditize,
Yeah.
and that can be done a lot cheaper and quicker online, and with whatever technology is there. I went to a seminar out in Atlanta 3 years ago, and this guy came on stage and he talked. He was from, obviously, Silicon Valley. Talked about this new thing that had come out, AI, and he said it's going to change the world and revolutionize. And he's definitely right there, isn't he?
Yeah.
But I think lots of firms should be embracing that sort of technology to make their jobs quicker, faster, more profitable, or cheaper for clients, or whatever works for them. Uh, but the way I see it, when I speak to younger people in our sector, they are all over it now, which is great. But my advice to them always is, if you lose that personal touch, you can just become like anyone else,
Yeah.
and that's the difference, isn't it? So keep some element of that personal
Hmm.
side in there,
Yeah.
and give a bit of yourself as well, and make it more personal. Because I think we're seeing that lost in society massively, aren't we?
Yeah.
As cliched as it sounds, even with banks closing down, and we get
Mm.
it because everybody's doing it online. There's like a lost generation in there though that can't use banks, but banks are going, post offices are gone. All these things that were sort of central hubs for a lot of people over many years, they're gone now. So where do they get their personal touch,
Yeah.
particularly on a device like we give,
Yeah.
and you give? And people really value that. And I think maybe with AI in particular, it's more about the sort of lower volume jobs being done by that, and we then become almost we don't draft documents anymore. We're more about checking them, aren't we, or advising on them? And I think that's where the professions will go. But let's see, eh?
I know. And as someone, as I say, whose business has been around for a while and seen through recessions,
Mm.
pandemics, all of those things, and still here and still growing and successful, I think that, yeah, that advice should be taken.
It should. I think the other thing, somebody asked me yesterday actually about what's been the toughest time,
Mm.
and apart from the inevitable when you start out,
Yeah.
it's 2 or 3 years sometimes of real hardship. I think the recessions along the way, because I think we've been through three now. The first one almost finished us off. So sort of 91 when interest rates went up to 15.6% in one day. And it was all that sort of thing. We didn't have a real client base at that stage. We'd only been going a couple of years. But I thought if we got through that, we could get through anything. And then obviously, all those years later, COVID comes along, which no one expected.
Yeah.
And we got through that as well. But it was interesting because COVID, I think, focused people's minds on we should really get things sorted out.
Mm.
We should really put things in place. So it was a catalyst for people to get a move on, and so business shot up again, which was
Mm.
great. So the trouble with what we do, like I said earlier, it's not a sexy sell. We're
No.
not selling holidays. People have almost got to be arm twisted to do it.
Yeah.
But when they do, they feel relieved, don't they? And it's done.
Yeah.
Peace of mind.
Exactly that. And that's what I was going to say. It's that peace of mind. It's ticking it off the list. It's knowing that everything you've worked hard for, if worst case, happens
Mhm.
or eventually does happen,
Yes,
it's everything's kind of prepared. And I know that, as you said, your demographic is a more of a certain age because people do wait until they get to that
they
age to
do.
actually finally go, okay, I'm not getting any younger, let's start doing it. And only through knowing you have I been much better at getting my
You
stuff in
have,
order
yeah.
and telling our clients and saying that
Yeah,
it's really important because you you don't want to leave a mess behind.
no,
You don't want there to be, as with all of the emotions that happen when you lose somebody,
of course.
having financial and legal things to deal with as well. So, and if we, I've got loads I want to talk to you about. So, if we get a
Okay.
chance to talk a little bit about
We will.
the
Yeah, yeah.
actually how that works, the logistics around
Yeah,
what
sure.
people should be considering, especially business owners, then we'll touch on it. But I wanted to talk a little bit around 4-day week to begin with.
I knew we'd get onto
I
that one.
know,
Yeah,
sorry, and
that's okay.
you get asked it all the
Yeah,
time.
as you do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so 4-day week we like as Wyfield are known for, but was brainchild really of you.
Which is
um,
shocking, really. It's
there was a particular article, wasn't there? And so 2019,
2019.
yeah,
Yeah.
that you went to 4-day week,
Yeah.
and were the first firm in the UK, or the first business in the UK to make that a permanent change within your business. And it got picked up by Lad Bible, didn't it? And
Oh, it
went
was
viral.
everywhere. It was one of those things where, and genuinely at the time, I didn't know what Lad Bible was. That was the thing.
I remember
But
you
I had
saying.
people messaging me saying, "You're on Lad Bible." And you think, "What for? What is it?" Yeah, I think it was something ridiculous. Like in the first 48 hours or something, there was 13,000 comments or likes or whatever. Yeah, it's all this thing, and I just thought the 4-day week really was like an idea that just came. It didn't come out of nowhere because, like yourself, done the MBA at Exeter and researched it and thought, what a good idea this is. So I think it originated in New Zealand and Sweden, and up to someone there, and then Finland, and I thought, well, we try and create. Like an innovation, one per year, and it could be something really tiny, something incremental, or something seismic for the firm. And it just happened to be that year that was the one that sort of came up. And I remember talking to Michelle, my wife, about what about doing a 4-day week? And she said, well, it can't hurt, can it? Let's try it. And obviously, the hard sell bit always is going in on the 3rd of January or whatever it is and saying to the team, how would you like another 50 days off a year?
Yeah.
and on the same
Imagine it
pay.
was awful.
And I had to fight that one. They were so against it, like, and no, they felt, wow, that's a great idea, and why not? And then the other thing I thought about was how would it be perceived. So we touched on earlier about perception. I thought some people outside of the firm might think, oh, are they slowing down? Are they
Yeah, I
shut?
had that same.
And I just thought, well, let's knock that on the head straight away. And so we increased their salaries. So what really happened there is the story was about the 4-day week, but it was also about the pay increase, and that's what got picked up, and that's what ran all around the world. So it was in all these newspapers in Australia,
There was
America.
an
It's
article, wasn't there, that
crazy.
with a big picture of you smiling that
It
said, "Is
was.
this the best boss in the
Oh yeah.
world?"
Well, it was in the Sun.
Yeah.
With all due respect to the Sun, but it said, yeah, the best boss ever or something, and then all these radio stations picked it up. So I was on the radio with Gemma Atkinson, and it just went mad for a while. It sort of stuck with us, which is quite a nice thing. 'Cause it's
Yeah.
positive overall, isn't it? And it's lovely to see so many firms embracing it now. I mean, you guys, did it quite quickly after us, and it's like setting the tone for caring for your colleagues as best you can, as well as still trying to give the clients a brilliant service, and they still get that, don't they?
Yeah.
It's just that I think staff members are a little bit more refreshed, I guess,
Mhm.
more engaged. I mean, there are some downsides, I think, but overall, I think it's one of the most positive things you could do as an owner of a firm, and I'm glad we've done it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been quite a journey.
Yeah,
And it's
it
never ending,
has.
isn't it?
There's always changes, there's always things
Yeah,
to consider, but yeah, I speak a lot about our own 4-day week kind of journey, on
yeah,
various platforms, and
yeah. It's good to see.
it is, and I think there's more change in that direction coming from other businesses as
There
we
is. I mean,
well,
the other thing you and I talk about as well with the 4-day week, and is this thing about the label side of it. Where people get what the label is, don't they? They understand. Well, that's 1 day a week less, but then they come up with all sorts of scenarios that are not good around it. Does that mean your people work harder? Are they there till 10 o'clock at night rather than 5 o'clock? And we know that's not true. Uh, but I think as long as people think about flexible working, remote working, hybrid work, whatever it is, and that if there's any sort of genius about it all, and that's definitely not me as a genius, but the timing of it was incredible because we introduced that January 2019, and as you know, a year later the world changed, and since then hybrid working's a big thing now, isn't it? Remote
mm,
working, all those things. So I was glad we put it in place, not because COVID came along and
yeah,
had to make us think differently. We did it off our own volition, and I'm so glad we did that because it's made us stand out as a firm. And we're only a small firm, as you know, but we're very niche in what we do. But I think people look at us in a kinder way than maybe they did before, because of the way we treat people. So that's a good thing, isn't it?
yeah, and that's the kind of feedback we've had when people have heard about that we that's how we're structured, and that I thought they would think, "Oh, we're obviously paying them too much if they can afford to pay their
You
team for
get those
doing less." And,
comments, don't you?
and you'd think, but everyone's been so receptive and positive about it. And, we had a comment that said, "We actually came to you because if you treat the team like that, then as
Yeah,
clients, that's kind of
absolutely.
where you are." And I think that that's the nice thing is that actually it is perceived now to be a
It is.
positive thing rather than any kind of
Yeah,
lesser role that anyone has. And I
yeah.
think in the conversations I have, charities are finding, and potentially public sector, to understand how that change might look for them because
Mm,
they are funded by other people's money effectively.
yeah,
They find that perception, I think, a bit more difficult to, if you're asking for donations, if you're a charitable organization, and then you've got your people are working 20% less for the same
mm,
salary. How does that look? And the same with public sector, especially if resources are tight. So I think they've got a bigger challenge, and I don't have an answer
no.
for what might
I was
be.
going to
But
wait for the answer then. I thought,
no,
oh, she's come up with
no, I
something.
just think that keeping the conversation going and showcasing the benefits and
Mm,
is a way to showing that this isn't just a it's not the marketing is a great outcome, but this is done because it creates a
yeah.
better sort of work-life balance at
Yeah,
the end for
absolutely. I,
people.
I think you're right. There are more challenges there.
Hmm.
And, it's for others to work a way forward that suits them. And I think all of it is very bespoke, isn't it, to each organization or sector. I mean, the one thing that really shook us was we'd put it in place. Sort of, the lockdown had begun, and we were given an introduction from a financial advisor to speak to this client. And his warning was that we can never get hold of this client, so you've got to keep trying and trying. And I remember we logged it. We called 26 times, and this lady was a quite a prominent film director. And during COVID, she was still working on the Yorkshire Moors, filming some television series. And of course, no signal. She wouldn't pick up anyway, and she would only answer the phone before 6 in the morning or after 9 at night. It was one of those. And we kept going and going. And then one of my colleagues got through to her just randomly one afternoon, and this lady said, "Are you the firm?" She didn't want to know who we were, but she said, "Are you the firm I've just read about in the Daily Mail?" So straight away, it's, "Oh,
Depends what
what's
the
that? Yeah, what is
article.
it?" And it was about the 4 day week, and she said, "Because I don't care how much you charge or how fast you work, you've got the business. Because if you take care of your people that way, you can only look after your clients in the same way."
Yeah.
And I thought that was the thing, that it was that unintended consequences,
Yeah.
wasn't it? It just happened because we did it for our own team, not
Hmm.
for any other purpose. And like you said, the marketing opportunities on the back of that became enormous, didn't they? And
Yeah.
you're seen in a different way, aren't you? Which is great.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
long may that be the case.
And that's a standout kind of from the last sort of few years. How about other standout moments of your career looking back where you think that was a real turning point or something that had been done differently or just moments that when you think back over your career that really
Do you know, I think lots of them are related to either individuals or families. And obviously, I can't. I'd love to talk about some of those, and I'll probably will one day in a book or something, But I think for me personally, I had the honour of getting the freedom of the City of London a couple of years ago, which I was so humbled by, because my links to London were basically my granddad was born in London, and then all sorts of things came about there because we'd done some work with some universities and things like that, and that was lovely. And to take my son to the ceremony was incredible, and it was a way of showing him, look, anything's possible. It doesn't matter what your background is, where you're from, you can achieve, can't you? And I know we all say this to our children, but sometimes to show them things is more powerful, isn't it? Uh, the other thing really is seeing people come into our business that then leave our business but go on to great things. I love that. There's one example in particular, is Yasmin came in as an apprentice, very shy, very quiet, and over 2 or 3 years, really came out of herself, and it's very kind of her at times. She gives us credit for letting her grow and develop, and then she moved on to Babcock in Plymouth, and she's doing great things in there. And that sort of thing really fills me with pride, because it's like, it's good to see another person do well, isn't it? Even if they're not with you anymore, you've still got a great relationship, but it's just seeing them go on and do other things. And I know sometimes you'd want to keep talent in your company, but as a small firm, that's so difficult,
yeah,
and
it is.
you're encouraging people to do well and push hard and go as far as they can. Sometimes it's not possible in a certainly a firm like ours. So that's always been a joyful thing, and most recently it was doing the partnership with Plymouth Argyle. That was amazing, because again, for a local firm to be involved with them, and they've got lots of local firms involved with them, but at the partner level, where you were on the level with huge conglomerates, like Babcock, Kawasaki, there's big firms there, and we were on the same sort of strata as them, but we're probably a million times smaller. But I think they wanted a good regional business that had a good heart, good
Yeah.
reputation, because it can't all be about the big players, can it? The
No.
Southwest, as we know, is a huge economy for self-employed, isn't it, and startups and things like that. So that was great, and that's been a great journey the last 3 years. We've enjoyed that thoroughly, So, but there's so many things really. If you sit down and start writing a list, it's like, oh my god, I forgot that, I forgot that.
Yeah.
But it's all a culmination of trying to do good in business
Mhm.
while you can. And again, I know it's cliche time, but it is, if you're in business, you should try and do good things, shouldn't you? Not just be good at what you do, but do good things externally. And I know you guys do that. So it's that charity thing, it's a community thing, isn't it? And do it with a good heart and for the right reason, isn't it? So
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely. And for the people that are listening, our clients that are in business, if we'll touch on some of the logistics of what you do as the day
Yeah.
job, I guess,
Yeah.
and how that works. So, for a business owner, like me,
Yeah.
what should I like? What would I be considering? I know I've done mine because I'm
You have
gold
done
star,
yours.
but
Yes.
the conversations we had, like, how do those start? What is the sorts of things that
I
you?
think they start from a place where most of our clients are referred to us. So that's a good thing. So someone along the line, whether that's a professional they deal with another professional, or it's a family member or friend or work colleague, they've said they've tended to do something, and we've used this person or this firm, and we think maybe you should think about that.
Hmm.
And for what we do for a living, most people think about it but do nothing about it, don't
Hmm.
they? So it's very much a conversation starts where we'll sit down with them and talk through, what are their aspirations really? What are they trying to achieve for themselves, their family, and all that sort of thing. And and then we'll just come up with a bespoke plan that says we think these are your issues or opportunities to do something different, and then we'll put those documents in place. And we try and speak in plain English. It's not always possible, is it? But we try and make it as easy and as friendly and as approachable as we can. And I think as much as people are buying documents at the end of the day, they're buying that peace of mind, aren't they?
Yeah, and
And
that
that's what we do.
someone's considered their individual needs, so it's
Absolutely.
actually right for them. It's not just a
No,
template that
not
everyone's
not
got the
generic.
same. It's
Yeah.
it's different, and you can have. So I big learning journey when I went through this experience with you, but you can have personal wills and business wills, can't you?
Yeah, or you can have a like a combination of them where it
Hmm.
refers to the business in the will, and you can have all sorts of trust planning in the will or external to the will. Certainly, as business owners, we should be looking at what happens if we pass away. Where does this go? What if we lose capacity?
Yeah.
Who's going to run the business? And with powers of attorney, most people again know what powers of attorney are, but they don't know what they do really.
Yeah.
And you should have, if you've got any interest in a business, you should have a business power of attorney, which is a separate document, but it's really important. And sadly, over the last few years, the case of Kate Garraway from Good Morning Britain has been prominent in the media. Tragic for their family, especially as her husband passed away. But that sort of gave a platform to the public to understand that it's okay having a will, but you've not got anything to deal with problems in life, and that's the power
Yeah.
of attorney. And I know Kate in particular has been quite an advocate on the circuit, really, to try and encourage as many people to do this sort of thing. So it's about what do we do during our lifetime. So what can we do to help stave off any issues if they arise, and then what do we do, sadly, when someone passes away? Let's be thoughtful and kind. Put something in place that will help our family at a time of grief, and that's what it's all about, really, isn't
Hmm.
it? It's that you know, people think it's a morbid subject, or they're going to draft a document and die the next day. Well, touch wood, that's never happened in our business. I'm sure it must happen somewhere, but it hasn't happened for us, and it's just a kind, thoughtful thing to do.
Hmm.
And people who plan ahead, I love those people because they know that they've worked hard, they put everything together, they've got family or they've got charity they want to support. If it's not in black and white and it's not done, it's not going to happen, is it? It's like booking a holiday in your diary. If you don't put it in, it's not going to happen, is it?
No.
And the one thing I want to talk about more than anything, honestly, is people who do DIY wills.
Okay.
So let's think about this. And I know people do their own tax returns, don't they, in
Mm,
your world?
yeah.
You don't know what you don't know.
No.
It's such a beautiful statement and it's crystal clear, isn't it? So the analogy I always use with clients is, I used to say things like, well, you know, I could be a plumber. I could fit a new boiler. I could do whatever. It doesn't mean it's going to work or it's any
Yeah.
good, but I'll find out pretty quickly, won't I, if I've done it wrong. I'd rather pay a qualified tradesperson who will do it properly, qualified and quickly,
Mhm.
and it keeps the local economy going because you're paying someone to do something. Uh, it's like a tattoo. Now, if you want a tattoo, fantastic. Go to the best person you can because they are artists, aren't they? They're fantastic at what they do. And whether you like tattoos or you don't, it's irrelevant, isn't it? But if you want to do one, do not do your own tattoo. The beauty of it is you can start doing it with the needles and you'll soon see if it's any good, won't you? You'll see it immediately. It's either blurred or the face is wonky or whatever it is. That's instant. If you do a DIY will or you buy one from the post office or you do these horrendous £10 wills online that are only asking you prescriptive questions, You won't ever find out that that's wrong, but your family will.
Yeah.
And when they find out you did a £10 will 20 years ago and you're dead, you can't do anything about it. And they're in a hell of a mess. So why are you only spending that amount of money on such an important topic?
Mhm.
Uh, if people are confident, they're fully abreast of all the regulations and laws with tax and estates. You crack on. But really, just engage a professional, and it doesn't have to be us. Obviously, it could be anyone, but just do it
Yeah.
properly. But it's a real bugbear of mine. And the latest one is obviously all the free wills you see.
Mhm.
They're all over the internet, aren't they? There's a couple of reasons why they're free. One is the charities are either paying that person to do the will free. So is it technically free? Because the charity's using somebody else's funds to pay for it. The firm drawing it up are remote. You'll never see them or a person. They'll never supervise your witnessing of the will. So is it signed correctly? And quite often they're trying to crowbar themselves in as executors so that when you die, they'll take 2, 3, 4%, whatever it is, of your estate that really could be going to your family. So I've got a real bit of grief with them. And fortunately, at 2011, 2012, I was on the legal services board investigating will writing and all these sorts of things, and it was great to be working with other professionals. And the key thing that came out of it all was that most wills that are faulty are DIY
Okay.
post office type things. I know there's a market for everything, I get that, but don't store up a problem that you've got no clue about,
Mhm.
and something you can't do anything about
And
either.
such a massive part of your legacy when you do eventually die and
Yeah,
dealt with in that way.
exactly.
And I think one of the things I wanted you to, I guess, confirm or give any insight into as well around business wills, business powers of attorney. You don't have to be rich to have them. And I think it's a perception of, well, I've got nothing to give, or my business isn't yet profitable. And
Yeah.
so what do I need it for? But that's not the case, is it?
No, absolutely not. It's about just putting documents in place that deal with anything you have, whether that's today or tomorrow or 50 years' time, just to say, I've given thought to this and this is where it must go. And certainly, asset wise, we don't mind if people have got next to nothing, or they've got £10 million, and we'll deal with everybody in between. But business owners are probably the worst because, we're guilty of it. You're so busy in your business, aren't
Hmm.
you? On that hamster wheel, just turning around, that you don't always pay attention to these sorts of things, and it's really really important. I know I'm bound to say that, of course I am, but we see things go wrong when
Yeah.
nothing was done, and that's so sad because these people were, in most cases, brilliant at their job, whatever that was, their business, and then they've let their family down at the last minute, and it's not good. And you talk about the word legacy; it's really important, isn't it? Legacy is different things to different people, isn't it? And it could be the impact you've had on your family or your community or a charity or sports or whatever it is. But that legacy is going to be there. And if one of the last bits of your life legacy was, what an awful mess I left, that's not ever a good place to be, is it? And we hear it from families. We can't understand. Dad was so organized. Dad did this. He had everything in a fight. Didn't do a will, or he
Yeah.
did a half-cocked will. And it's unacceptable, really. It should be a bit like we see in Spain, where if you buy a property in Spain, you have to have a will.
Hmm.
Whereas here, you can do anything you want, can't you? And there's nothing in place to say just get it done, other than your intention to do the right thing.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
legacy is really important, and uh, we talk about legacy because it's quite a far-reaching word, I think, and like I said, it impacts so many things, and that play that's going around the world, I don't know, Hamilton, it's all about legacy,
Mhm.
and there's a line in it, and I'll paraphrase it, but it's about planting the seed to grow a tree in the future that you'll never see the benefit of. and
Mhm.
and that's sort of what legacies are, aren't
Yeah.
they? Some people see them as like retrospective things. I'm looking back and I'm doing this. No, legacies are for going forward, aren't they? And for people to use in the way they
What
see
people
fit.
say about you long after you've gone.
Absolutely. Yeah. Or if you're out of the room, isn't it? That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly
But I
that.
always tell this story as well about this legacy thing, where the most memorable example I had was, it's going back 10, 15 years now, where we had a mature client, shall we say. She was in her 80s, and she'd got this dog, and this dog was called Binky. Now Binky was a Bichon Frise, and it was the love of her life. But he was only 2, and obviously she was at the age she was. So when we redrafted her document, she said, "What's going to happen to Binky?" I said, "Well, what do you want to happen?" She said, "I want him to have my whole estate." And at that point, I know it was about £800,000. So she had no direct family. She was
Oh,
literally on her own. She had no children. There were no nephews
she
and nieces.
survived.
Yeah, and she was lovely. She was a bit like you probably won't remember this, a lady called Barbara Cartland, who
No,
was quite glamorous and
sorry.
in her later years. And she had this dog uh, as the beneficiary. But you cannot give it to a dog because
Can't have a
it
bank
can't
account. And
exactly
got no hands.
can't write
Can't
exactly.
write.
And we could do face sort of no. So what we did was we put the money in a trust.
Hmm.
So it was the Binky Trust, and then she got her friend, who was the other trustee with me, to take care of the dog. So he would live with her. She was younger; she was in her 60s. So there was a good chance she'd outlive the dog. So this lady had never been anywhere around the world. This is the lady who took over the dog. So our client passed away, sadly. The money's in the trust. And this lady is then traveling all over the world because the client gave me permission to say if she wants to go abroad, because she's never been abroad, use the money, but as long as she takes Binky. So this dog ended up traveling all
Oh
over,
my God.
Cyprus, Florida, wherever he went. He had a dog passport. And he ended up with a diamante necklace. So every year we'd
Oh,
meet and I'd say, "How much money do you need from the trust this year? Where's he going? Where's he going on his tour?" So the legacy bit comes into the fact that obviously Binky's passed away. This lady's still alive. That's not her money, it's the dog's money or the trust's money. And what we arranged was that when the dog passed away, any money left in the trust fund would go to a number of dog charities. And that's what sort of happened. And that's her legacy of loving her dog and looking after it, and looking after the lady, to be honest. But going forward, it went to something that she loved and gave her a lot of pleasure during her lifetime, and that's a lovely legacy to leave.
yeah.
And as a person who never had children, she had no siblings, so she was on her own. And where would that money have gone if there wasn't a will in
Yeah,
place? We know, don't we?
absolutely.
We know
Yeah, we
exactly where that would
do.
have gone.
Yeah.
And I think without getting political, they have enough of our money, so it went and did some good. So
I
it's good.
absolutely love that story. And I think that's probably a good point to leave it on. And I hope that anyone listening knows that they need to think about their will. If they don't have one, they need one. If they do have one, make sure that it's correct, revisit it. I remember when I got engaged, you sent me a message and said, "Congratulations. P.S. Now you need to change your will."
Absolutely, yes.
So
How
make sure,
thoughtful.
yeah, give it a good look over. Speak to somebody like yourself. And I've learned today that there are dogs out there living a better life than me. So
Yeah,
that's great.
it's quite scary, that, isn't it?
Yeah, but thank you so much for coming in and talking to us today, Trevor. It's
Very
been
welcome,
amazing.
Lauren. Always nice to talk to you.